right, welcome back, ladies and gents, boys and girls. We are set for the Eastern Conference Finals, Western Conference Finals. They're all set. We're ready to go. We got in one corner, Vegas Golden Knights against the Dallas Stars. Big storyline for Pete DeBoer going up against former coach team. He coached the Knights, and also he played against them, or he coached against them, that big series with the San Jose Sharks. But then also on the Eastern Conference Final, we have got the Carolina Hurricanes against the underdogs, the Florida Panthers, the team that overcame the Bruins down 3-1, beat the Maple Leafs in 5. Everything's locked and loaded, folks. We are ready to go. All right, so I'm going to start off with the Vegas Golden Knights against the Dallas Stars. Big win, I think, just recapping quickly. First, we had the Oilers against the Golden Knights. For me personally, that one was a bit of a downer for the Oilers. I kind of wanted the Oilers to win, but I think Golden Knights, I don't have a problem with them kind of making it to the conference finals. Those guys, Golden Knights, fourth conference finals in 5 years, something like that. Some insane stat like that. Unbelievable. The Oilers, I thought the Oilers did come out with a sense of urgency. They came out, with the, I think they come out how you would want to come out, right? Like that's they came out scoring, or they get scored on first. Actually, before I get into like the game, why would Jay Woodcroft start his fourth line in a game 7, everything on the line? Like, I get it if you have a line that's playing well, if you want to send a message or something, I guess, but this is game 7, right? Or I'm sorry, it's game 6, my bad, but it's game 6, elimination game, and you start off with a fourth line and then you get scored on with your fourth line. If you get scored on with your top line, that is what it is. But you have elimination game, so much on the line. You got the best player in the NHL right now, in Connor McDavid, and you also have Draisaitl, who has gotten I don't know how many points in the past past 6 games for the Oilers, or past whatever, the whole series for the Oilers. And you put out the fourth line. I don't really get that. But either way, McDavid comes right back after they get scored on. He finally gets on the board. Overall, you look at that game, and I think from looking at it maybe just on the score sheet and the stat sheet, you think, the Oilers didn't do that much. But honestly, they got a lot of shots, right? I mean, they had a lot of chances, although I will say I don't know if the high quality chances were as crazy for the Oilers as they were for the Knights. I just think throughout this game there was a sense of urgency for the Oilers, and I thought the first period was such a great period of them being able to put pressure on. It was back and forth, right? I mean, you look at the first 3 goals in 5 minutes. That was nuts. And then Oilers go on the power play. They don't get a goal on their first power play there, so it's a big kill for Vegas. Just all around it was a really tense game. And I think the fans, even the Oilers players themselves, it looked like if they went down in that game by, once they went down by more than, 2 goals or 3 goals, especially as the game kept going on, it started to feel like the window was closing. And you can see that, I thought, in the way that the game was being played, the way the chances were happening for the Oilers wasn't the same high-flying Oilers. Didn't get as many of the good looks they normally get in a game. Draisaitl was kind of kept off the score sheet there. It's one of those things, right? Like, you really want to take advantage, but right off the get-go, letting up those goals it makes it difficult for you to really get in there. But again, David gets on the board. But credit to the way that the Knights were able to get on top quick. And this Knights team is no joke, guys. Like, this Knights team, they have got serious speed. They have such a great forecheck. They got good talent on the team. Everyone thought that taking Jackie Aces there would be a bad call for them, but you look at just, and also it's not just him. You got Marchessault came up huge. Barbashev is a guy who came up big too. A lot of these guys, and then of course there's Stoner, right? Stoner's a guy who really, he's such a leader for this team. Came up, had a lot of big games last series, and again, like, this Vegas team, it just seems like year over year, every time they make it far in the playoffs, they have a certain way of playing that allows them to, overcome teams like the Oilers and things like that. So it's pretty interesting to see how they're going to match up against the Dallas Stars. Personally, I think I think they're more the favorites. We can check if that is the case. But I personally believe that check the betting odds. I just think that with the way Vegas is playing, Vegas is the favorites. The way Vegas is playing, I think they have an all-around more consistent game, especially now you take into account Adin Hill in net. I think, again, Ottinger, arguably, maybe the top goalie, but I hear announcers say that, by the way. I hear a lot of the announcers say that the Knights, or Ottinger, is the top goalie remaining, but I don't know. I look at Bobrovsky. When Bobrovsky's on, he is very, very good, right? He's really got great movement. He's really aggressive. He's so locked in and dialed in. He seemed really unbeatable in that Leaf series at times. Then you got Adin Hill now, right? Like, he came up huge, and then like, I know the Hurricanes, you got Frederik Andersen there, got experience over past couple of years. Personally, I think maybe out of all the goalies remaining, I don't think Andersen is at the top. He might be more so at the bottom, and that's not a knock on him. It's just that with the way that these goalies have been playing, Ottinger, Bobrovsky, Hill stepping in as well as he has, it's going to be tough to figure out, when these goalies are on their game, it's going to be tough to figure them out, so that's something that you could look forward to with these goalie matchups. But yeah, the Oilers fall short, and I think a big question to ask, in my opinion, here is, like, where do the Oilers kind of go, right? Like, where do they go from here? How do they, what do they need to fix to make sure, or to next year, that this doesn't happen? And I think a bunch of the guys on the Oilers, post game and after season interviews kind of mentioned it, was like, they're at a point now where they're a team that's, if it's no cup, then the season is a bust. And that's, I don't know, that's a heavy thing to put on the team, but if you really look at it, right, McDavid's been in the league, been in the league for around, ninth season? I think it's his ninth season now. And you look at Draisaitl too, and year over year, they're in the race, they're in the hunt, and for whatever the reasons, sometimes it's just, I know that, my opinion, past couple of years, goaltending has really made them, has been a big hole in their game, and they have to find a really steady goaltender, and a really good one, really consistent, good, steady goaltender there. And unfortunately, they just haven't been able to get that. But I don't think goaltending is their only issue. I also think this year, I feel like they should have played Campbell. I thought Campbell was really good. Skinner was good too, and definitely nothing to take away from him. But I thought Campbell was a guy who I just thought had a little bit more control to his game, a little more confidence to his game when he did step in. It would just been nice to see him get a shot, a really good shot in net there in that series at least. But then also I think Oilers defensive core there, they're you got Nurse, but outside of that, like, I don't know if they have like that back end that's really gonna take them to that next level. But I don't watch the Oilers as often. But you got, let's see, you got Nurse, you got Ekholm, who's really great. Kulak's really good. Bouchard I think has been big for them. I believe so. But again, like it's pretty, sometimes it's kind of mind boggling. Like how are they not making it further? I mean, last year they made it really far, so that was great. And they got beat by the team that won the cup. So that's just, that's the way that goes sometimes. But, there's got to be something, I think, that they're maybe missing that really will take them to that level of, and I feel like we saw this with the Capitals with Ovechkin a little bit. It's just like sometimes there's little things, little pieces that are missing and little tweaks here and there. And also sometimes it's players who are under the radar really stepping up. I remember in that Capitals run, Devontae Smith-Pelly, I believe, he stepped up in that series huge. There were a couple guys there that really helped the Capitals out a bunch. But again, it's and then you got strong goaltending with Holtby. But again, in that play or in that playoffs, Holtby started, but then he got replaced, and then he went back in net towards the end of that run or towards the middle of that run. And so it's really about trying to find that group, that mix of guys that are able to just get yourself throughout the duration of the playoffs. It's not just one round and all that. It's being able to make it to the long distance, and that's one of those things where you have to try to figure that out, because I don't know if they're in that same boat as the Leafs, where everyone's kind of asking for things to be blown up. I think the Oilers still have good pieces to their team, but they got to get that figured out soon, because if they don't, then there's going to be a lot more drastic changes. Personally, I don't think I ever see, at least not anytime soon, of Connor McDavid leaving the Oilers. But you got to think, right? Like if he's going into, let's say, his 10th season, been in the league 10 years, and they can't even make a cup final yet. I don't know. Like, is that a thought, right? I mean, is that going to happen? I don't know. I don't know what his contract is. I don't know the logistics of that, but is that a possibility? I think it's less likely that McDavid leaves the Oilers compared to like Austin Matthews or Tavares leaving, or Mitch Marner leaving the Leafs. Well, who knows? Who knows about Marner? But I don't know. I think if you were to tell me Austin Matthews is going to leave the Leafs after next season if they don't have success, I would more so believe that than McDavid. But either way, I think those two teams are two teams that have a lot to think about, and two teams that kind of have to figure out like what's next for them, so that'll be something to look out for. But moving forward here, we got again the Golden Knights, Dallas Stars. So I watched Game 7. That was I thought a dominant performance by the Stars. That really close game, especially in the first period. Grubauer was a huge reason why they were able to, why the Kraken were able to stay in it. He kept them in with a lot of great saves, especially down their shots cut right in the slot area. There was a couple posts, a bunch of posts actually, by the Kraken there, and it just seemed like it was a good sparring match. It was like two heavyweights, right, in Game 7, just duking out in the first period, and that was really fun to watch. Scoreboard, score wise, yeah, it was 0-0, but it definitely felt like a Game 7 right from the start. The first period was, I thought the best period by both teams, just in terms of chances and how they came out. I thought the Kraken, as the game went on, especially there was this like period of time in the end of the second period, beginning of the third-ish, where they weren't getting any really like high quality chances, and the shots that the Kraken had and the chances they had were kind of kept away from that center slot area. So it was not that it was any, not that the shots were easy, but they just didn't have like the really good chances that, you know, relative to when they were playing the Avalanche. They didn't have as many good chances compared to that, when they eliminated the Avalanche in that game. But it was a tight, close game. I thought the Stars did a really good job of blocking the passing lanes, again, keeping that middle slot away from any dangerous shots there. And Otter came up big, right? I think Ottinger's going to be the guy that a lot of eyes are looked on to. This is his moment, you know, as he moves into the conference finals, for him to prove that, like, everyone looked at him last year, had an amazing performance against the Flames, and this time around, you know, now he's in the conference finals, and now he has the chance to really prove that he is at that high top level of goalies in the league today. And I think I think he is already. I don't think he has to really prove it. But now's the time, right? This is when the goalies come up big. You got all the big goalies, or the really good goalies over the years, and it's in these moments in these series where you kind of think like, maybe he's got to steal a game or two, right? You can maybe steal a game or two for the Stars, come up big, because Adin Hill's also going to be right there, but he's a rookie, so I think Ottinger just has a little bit more experience in the playoffs. So we'll see where that can lead both of these teams. But overall, yeah, I think the Stars, my opinion. I think the Vegas Knights are the ones in this series between the two who I'm expecting to come out stronger. I think they have a little bit more experience in terms of their core guys. I know Adin Hill's a rookie, but I don't know. I just like the speed of the Vegas Knights more than the Stars. I feel like the Stars, there were games against the Kraken where, like, not that I wouldn't say they didn't show up, but they were not that. They weren't good. I mean, they weren't that much of a threat. They didn't really bear down, and it seemed like the Kraken were able to have their way with them. And to me, like, I can only remember maybe one game maybe the first couple games of the Vegas Knights in the quarterfinals when that happened. But outside of that, the Knights were always basically putting the foot to the gas pedal there. So I don't think that the Stars can afford to really take nights off. And I don't, maybe they'll come out and they'll come out strong and everything, but I think the Knights are the faster team. I think they are a team that is more relentless on the forecheck and the pressure. But the Stars just have this, like, I think they're really well coached by DeBoer. They have this really this way when they generate chances, or when they get their offense going, they're almost like a chess match with them a little bit, right? They're not this like North and South team that goes so quickly back and forth. Although Game 7 was a really, really good game there with them and the Kraken, but I feel like the Stars are going to be a team that's going to take advantage of, if they're going to come out on top, they're going to take advantage of maybe the Vegas Knights having holes in their game. They're going to have odd man rushes against the Knights. They're going to, bad, like, unforced errors with, that the Knights might commit, and then the Stars will take advantage of it. I think that they're kind of team that might kind of sit back and just wait and see what mistakes the Knights are going to make, and then capitalize on that. So it should be a good one. I think looking forward to that one. I think high energy, though. I think both of these teams are very high energy teams. They got good crowds, they got good barns, so it should be fun to watch, and we'll see how that one turns out. But my take on that one is I think that the Vegas Knights are going to take that series. Could go Game 7, could go 7 games there. I could see that happening. But my prediction will be Vegas Knights in 6. That's my prediction there. All right. Now we'll move on to the Eastern Conference Finals with the Panthers against the Hurricanes. Panthers, man, like, these guys are like, they are the Rocky they're the Rockies of these playoffs. They just overcome all the odds, barely make it into the playoffs, going up against the Bruins, down 3-1, right? Everyone knows the story. And then they kind of, I wouldn't say roll past the Leafs, but the Leafs weren't that much of a threat to them throughout a lot of that series. They were able to just keep their foot on the gas pedal there with the Leafs. I think that the Panthers have such a good combination of grit, toughness, physicality, strong goaltending, but they also have these bursts of offensive power or at least their bursts of offense, right? I don't think they're a team that they're going to be, they don't need a lot of time in the ozone to get a lot of goals, I guess is the bottom line I'm trying to say. Is like they can pick their moments. Of course, no one wants to only be on the offensive side of the game once in a while, but I'm just saying, I think watching the way they played the Leafs, there were times where the Leafs just dominated the first period. There was game 4, one of the games there. Leafs dominated the first period, and then Florida gets a goal at the end or something, right? Or early in the second. I think that was when they went down 2-0. So they went down 2-0, dominated, and then Panthers get a goal, end of the first period. I want to say quick one, beginning of the first period or second period, then take the lead 2 minutes later. So in the span of 5 minutes or 7 to 10 minutes of game time, they just went from 0-2 to 3-2. And that's just them. Like, they are resilient, and if they need to be physical and play with an edge, they're going to play with that edge, and if they need to sit back and play a little more defense and back up Bobrovsky and make sure that they don't really give too many chances, they can try to do that too. But having Bobrovsky in there and him playing as well as he is a big part of their success too, right? I mean, you had Line in there for a little bit. He's also good. He had a rough start, but he is also a very good goalie. And you just have like this group of guys that, they're not all stars, right? It's not like they're not a all-star team with insane talent on each level or whatever. It's just a bunch of guys who are all bought into the system, and they all play together, and they just really, I think, relentless is what I get out of them when I watch them. They're relentless to the puck. They're relentless to never, thinking they're out of a game. And that's just something that, who knows, right? I mean, everyone's talking about, the last time the Panthers made it was 96 when they got swept by the Avalanche. But that one was in large part to Van Beesbrook just standing on his head for a lot of those games. But this, and then you got Paul Maurice there, who's just just great coach, players coach, but also knows what it's like to have experience in the playoffs and all that. So he's a pretty good guy for all the players here. You got Tkachuk, him. He's the star player, but he has a bit of an edge to him. So that's always important in these kind of teams where you want to make sure that your top guys are not afraid to lay it out on the line physically and all that stuff when it comes time to the playoffs. But then you also have guys like Verhaeghe and just like there's a lot of players like Montour, players who have stepped up, and that's one of those things that you need in the playoffs. And that's, I think that's also a thing that when you think about the Oilers, that's one thing that the teams like the Oilers, they're missing. Right? Like they have Draisaitl was played really well. I mean, McDavid didn't get a whole lot of goals, but he did contribute a lot to the play. But then you also want the extra guys on the team, or not the extra, but the other guys on the team that to be able to step up and to be a factor there too. So, the Panthers are ready to go. They're like locked and loaded, and I don't see them slowing down. It'll be interesting to see how the Hurricanes play them. And now on the Hurricane side, they're a team that I think they are led very much by an intelligent coach in Rod Brind'Amour, who his system and the way that they go about playing and their strategy, their approach to to their game, the adjustments they make, and again, there are also another group of guys who they're losing top players. Svechnikov is not on the is hurt. He's not on the squad right now, and there are also another group of guys who they're not exactly all stars. They got a bunch of good players there, but they're not all stars. But again, they're a team that they have a really good system under Rod Brind'Amour. They have a team that has a good mix of experience. Frederik Andersen in net. He's not rookie. He's been here before. Brent Burns, he's got that veteran experience, and he's the gritty guy. And I think to see how Burns and Gudas might go up against each other is going to be a fun battle. I think there's I'm careful to say there's similarities between the two teams. I do think they play a little bit differently, but there's characteristics, I guess. Like the strategy between the two teams, I think, is different, but characteristics are similar. Where they're both teams that have, gritty guy. They both have an enforcer in some way, but they both have guys who play with that grit and toughness. There's that element to both teams here. There's element to their players, especially their top players. They're not afraid to lay in the body and get physical, but they're also both teams that have the correct characteristics where not everyone's an all-star, but they all buy in and they all stick to the system or to their own system, and they also make good adjustments, and they're able to take advantage of that and get success that way. And I think too, like you have when you have teams that just believe in themselves, right? Like I think the Hurricanes, when you watch them, the way they play the Islanders, the way they play the Devils, I'm not going to say they didn't have any adversity, but they seem to be ahead of the curve here, right? They're ahead of the curve in terms of they never let the issues or the problems get too big or too much that they kind of are now falling behind. They always seem to be ahead, where I don't think at any series they've had so far were they ever in doubt of, oh crap, we're not gonna, we might lose the series. I don't think they ever felt that way. And on the other hand, you have the Panthers, who were the opposite of that, where at one point it was like, oh, the series is over, we're not going to win, it's over, 3-1. So it'll be interesting to see just the attitude of each team here and how they handle, playing against each other. But overall, this one, I think my opinion, I think that the Panthers might take this one. I just feel like there's the Hurricanes. I think once you're able to get them, when you're able to generate offense on them, and you're able to figure out their adjustments against you. So if the Panthers can figure out what exactly the Hurricanes are doing to adjust against them and frustrate them, and match them for that, I think that's where the Panthers have the ability to kind of surpass them a little bit and really take that advantage. Just because you look at the teams the Panthers have went up against, right? You went up against Boston, one of the best team in the league, best team in NHL history, right? And sort of regular season history. Go up against the Leafs, right? And although the Leafs series, they didn't have as much trouble, but I think you have to give credit to the Panthers for shutting them down, and I'm not saying that, I'm a Devils fan, but I'm not saying that the Devils or the Islanders didn't play as well or were not as good teams. They were, right? But the Hurricanes, they were able to get success on both those teams, and they kind of maintained it. And we haven't really seen them really go through a lot of adversity just yet, but we'll see. We'll see how that goes. I'm excited though to see all these teams. Really, it's a kind of a brand new Final Four. These teams haven't really been. I mean, Vegas has been here a bunch of times already, but you just take a look at Vegas, Dallas, Carolina, and Florida. These are teams that aren't normally in the top of mind with hockey people. So it's fun to see the change here. It's fun to see that these teams are getting their shot. Should be a fun fun start to the conference finals, right? So I think the Panthers going to take it. I wouldn't doubt if this goes 7. It's hard to tell right away, but I'll say this one also goes 6. Maybe Panthers in 6. I think that this they could close it out 6 games, but we'll see. It should be fun, and I think that's it should be exciting to see what happens there. So that's it for previewing the conference finals. I think, again, it should be a good one. If you guys have any comments, predictions, leave them in the comments below. If you like the video, hit the thumbs up. If you want to see more videos, hit the subscribe button. I'd really appreciate it. But again, thanks so much for watching if you have watched up to this point, and catch you guys later.